uns sehr, dass Sie nach Neu-Delhi gekommen sind. Danke. May I please request the Honorable Chancellor Scholz to come and share a few words with us, and we will leave this podium for you, Honorable Chancellor, to be able to address the audience at APK 2024.
Prime Minister Modi, Ministers, Mr. Bush, distinguished friends and guests of the Asia-Pacific Conference of German Business. A few days ago, economists Darren Acemoglu, Simon Johnson and James Robinson were awarded the so-called Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences. They received this prestigious accolade for their work on how democracies and democratic institutions spurs prosperity and economic growth. I think it's important that they all worked on this and wrote a lot of letters and text on this question. And Simon Johnson added in a recent interview that true, genuine, inclusive democracy matters very clearly when it comes to economic success. The organizers of this year's Asia-Pacific Conference of German Business probably didn't foresee the decisions by the Royal Swedish Academy. But by inviting us to India, you had the right instinct. Today, we are meeting in the world's biggest democracy, the fastest growing major economy in the world with the most rapidly expanding renewable energy sector of any major economy. A country at the heart of the world's most dynamic region, the Asia-Pacific. In a nutshell, the Asia-Pacific Conference has come to the right place at the right time. Prime Minister Modi, thank you very much for your kind hospitality, and thanks also to our co-hosts Robert Habeck and Roland Busch, and of course to you, Minister Goyal, for organizing this conference. I mentioned this year's Nobel laureates because the message couldn't be more topical. Not only do many democracies face pressure from within, from populists and extremists who peddle simplistic solutions to highly complex problems. What also worries me is an erosion of international institutions and the rules that we have created through them. As the three Nobel Prize laureates tell us, this is not just a political problem, but also an economic one. Because a world where reliable institutions and common rules erode is a more unstable world, a less prosperous world, a poorer world. The world of the 21st century is something where progress is a question we have to work for. But in a multipolar world, there is no global policeman, no single watchdog monitoring our common rules and institutions. Each and every one of us is called upon to defend and uphold them. If Russia was to succeed with its illegal, brutal war against Ukraine, there would be repercussions far beyond Europe's borders. Such an outcome would endanger global security and prosperity as a whole. The Middle East remains another constant source of tension and a stark reminder of the human cost of division and the world's inability to reach political solutions. The Korean Peninsula, the South and East China Sea all remain flashpoints of potential conflicts, even though we all hope that these conflicts can be contained. So my first message to all of you today is this: let us do whatever we can to bring about political solutions to these conflicts, solutions that are based on international law and the principles of the UN Charter. This is not only an ethical and a political obligation. It is also imperative if we want to safeguard prosperity and trade and economic cooperation. We need to match words with deeds. To visit of a The visit of a German frigate to India, as well as to Japan, Korea, and Southeast Asian countries, underlines our commitment to open seas and international law. At our intergovernmental consultations with India, we also want to deepen our cooperation on defense and agree to bring our militaries closer together. Our overall message is clear: we need more cooperation, not less. Globalization has been and remains a tremendous success story for all of our nations. Around 1 billion people in developing and middle-income countries alone have joined the middle class thanks to global value chains, cross-border investments, and economic cooperation. Many countries in the Asia-Pacific region are perfect examples here. This is why I keep telling the proponents of deglobalization and decoupling, or whatever the protectionist policies are being called these days, let's be careful. In the short term, those concepts may sound tempting, but ultimately they lead to weaker growth, higher prices, lower global prosperity, and less competition, which in turn means less innovation. We need to take a different approach, one that I would like to call being open without being naive. Yes, we must avoid one-sided dependencies, particularly in areas of strategic important critical raw materials and certain technologies, for instance. But for us, de-risking doesn't mean less trade or less openness. For us, de-risking means diversification. And this diversification is happening. Look at how German-Indian business relations have developed in recent years. Relations that benefit both sides. Every week an aircraft from the Airbus A320 family is being delivered from my hometown, Hamburg, to India's booming airlines. And for Germany's Lufthansa, India has become the most important growth market in Asia. 50% of passenger wagons of Indian railways are based on a design by Linke Hofmann Busch, designed in Germany, made in India. Most of the train brakes are made by Knorr-Bremse, all of them produced in India. German cars dominate the Indian premium market and ramp up local manufacturing, creating thousands of jobs. In return, the modern software in a Mercedes-Benz vehicle comes from Bengaluru. And you, Mr. Bush, recently wrote in an article that Siemens is seeking to take industrial AI to the next level with the help of talent based here in India. Opportunities abound for both sides. And I could tell similar stories of German companies working in Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, South Korea, Japan, or other countries in the region. We want to drive this positive development. Free trade is at its core. However, free trade doesn't mean trade without rules or institutions. On the contrary, a crucial institution when it comes to increasing global prosperity is the World Trade Organization. All of us are better off when its principles are respected again and we don't lash out on each other with tariffs. I'm personally committed to achieving this. On the one hand, this means restoring the legal system for setting trade disputes. And on the other hand, China, now an industrial giant, should give up the special treatment it has received as a developing country. Together, these steps can lead us to finally lifting the blockade at the WTO, a blockade which is a danger to free and fair trade. Countries of your region understand that. The comprehensive and progressive agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership is an impressive commitment to free and fair trade. This agreement has spurred the European Union's own free trade ambitions with regard to the Indo-Pacific. Our existing agreements with Japan, South Korea, Vietnam, Singapore and New Zealand are a testimony to this. But we need to be more ambitious. We very much welcome the European Commission's finally resuming free trade negotiations with the Philippines and Thailand, and it is working towards resuming talks with Malaysia. We want to see the ongoing negotiations between the EU and Indonesia finalized and the negotiations between the EU and Australia resumed as soon as possible. And of course, we want a free trade agreement between the EU and India. My government is pushing for swift progress and rapid conclusions, and I'm sure that if we work on together on this, Prime Minister, this could happen in months rather than years. There is one last aspect that I would like to mention, as it underlines what I mean by being open without being naive. Only a few days ago, the German government agreed on a strategy to attract skilled Indian employees to Germany. Even today, Indians are the largest group of foreign students at our universities. Last year alone, the number of Indians working in Germany grew by 23,000. Their talent is a welcome addition to our labor market. And let me add, we don't just welcome talent from India to work in Germany, but from all of your countries. To make this happen, we passed one of the world's most progressive laws for labor immigration. We are digitizing our visa process, speeding up procedures and making them more user-friendly. At the same time, we are reducing irregular migration and facilitating returns of those who have no right to be in our country. The message is that Germany is open for skilled workers, but that we can decide who comes. This is important because only then will our citizens continue to accept our openness. This brings me back to the beginning of my remarks and the three winners of the Nobel Prize. One of the key lessons of their work is that open societies are more likely to prosper. We need to maintain the spirit of openness in our countries and in today's world. So let us be the ones that spread it. Thank you very much.